Enchantée.
Hello lovelies, I'm Angela and this is Parisienne Farmgirl. Bienvenue, welcome to the channel. If you are finding the channel right now just because you googled maybe how to clean copper or natural ways to clean copper or all the different ways you can clean copper, I welcome you if this is your first time here. I know many of you are following along with what's going on behind. Now, we've lived in this house for about 6 years. We neutralized the ugly. As I'm always saying in the Old World Design Society, if you're moving into an ugly space, neutralize the ugly. So you can think we did that. We made it doable for like the last 5 or 6 years, and now we're going full force into the unfitted kitchen of our dreams with terracotta flooring, the Monet tile. If you've been following along, you know that's what's happening today. I'm wrapping up filming what you saw on Friday, the completion of the Monet project. Now, or part one of the Monet project, I should say, because I do want to do this whole space there in front of the camera. But part of that means I need clean copper. So I thought, why not make a separate video on how to clean copper. I love my copper collection. You know, I have a copper sink that I'm standing in front of right now. And I thought I'd share with you a couple of the easy ways with household products that you probably have on hand that you can use to clean your copper, especially for those of you that are naturally minded. And if you need to get out the big guns, some products that you can use to keep your copper beautiful as well. I invite you to subscribe to the channel. If you never have, check out this video description because there will be links to my shop, my Paris trips, my newsletter, which goes out free twice a week. I'd love to have you. So check the video description, leave a comment, give a thumbs up, make sure you've subscribed. Now I've got a lot of dirty copper. I haven't touched it in about 4 weeks. Knowing that this video was coming on the schedule, I wanted it nice and grimy and gross for you to show you the results. I get asked all the time where to find copper. My collection comes from here, there, and everywhere. I found this copper sink in an old barn at a sale. Many of my pieces come from Paris. Many of them come from the antique stores or garage sales. So keep your eyes peeled. If you're watching this video in real time, I do head to Paris in about 3 weeks. If you would like me to personal shop for you and leave some room in my suitcase for your goodies, that's another excuse for you to check this video description and look at all the links. And of course, there's always a blog post that goes with each video. So if you want to see these ideas on how to keep your copper clean in writing, again, check the video description or the first pinned comment that I've left in this video. I will have everything for you. Now here's a few tips on taking care of your copper even before you end up cleaning it. Many people are divided on the look of copper. Some like it really shiny and fabulous, and some like it patinaed, as we call it. If you want to reduce the amount of tarnish that your copper experiences, or as some say patina, you want to reduce the amount of liquids that it's exposed to, especially chemicals. So for example, don't leave your copper pot in a sink of soapy water to soak overnight, because that's going to help it tarnish much faster. Don't expose it to harsh chemicals. Things like acid will leave bright spots on your copper. So vinegars, if they splash when you're cooking, or lemon juice, it will leave bright spots. Now you can harness the power of that acid with some of the natural approaches I'm going to show you today and get your copper looking really bright. But just know if you see those really clean bright spots, that's because acid has splattered up on your pan. A really easy way to keep a handle on your copper is to just clean it off every time you're done using it. I know it's really easy just to wipe it off, wash it with the dishes, put it back, hang it up, put it on your shelf. But if you give it a nice wipe down, or perhaps use one of these natural ideas or products I'm going to share with you today, that will reduce the amount of grime and buildup that ends up on your copper. I have a lot of grime and buildup, like I said. I haven't touched mine in about a month. So let's get started and look at the different ways that you can keep your copper clean and beautiful. One of the easiest, most popular ways to keep your copper clean is to use some sort of a tomato product. So some people use ketchup, some people use tomato sauce, some people use tomato paste. Today I went into the cooler and I found an old expired carton of roasted red pepper tomato soup. And I am going to show you what kind of results you can get with this. Now, the pan I'm using is one that I got at the Paris flea markets. It's part of a series of nesting saucepans. I love it. It's really sturdy. It's got a great balance to it. Wonderful, but it is pretty dirty. So let's see how the roasted red pepper and tomato soup works on a pan that's this bad. Just going to cover the pan, and I think I'll grab a couple little ones and cover them. And I'm just gonna let it sit in the sink. Now the bonus is that this sink is going to get clean at the same time. This sink is really dirty. We are remodeling the kitchen, so there's a lot going on. See Joel back there? If you didn't watch Friday's video, if you're new to the channel, he is hanging my shelf back up now that the hand-painted Monet tile is in place. So I want my copper for right now to be brilliant. In Monet's kitchen, his copper is sparkling and fabulous. I have a lot of very rustic things in my kitchen, so I'm trying to move some of my accessories away from the rustic because I have plenty of rustic going on. At this stage in the game, I want brilliant, shiny copper. So I'm going to rinse this off. And this is also, that's going to be loud on my mic. Water, like I said, is part of those liquids that you want to just keep off of your copper. So obviously you have to wash it, but don't let it air dry. That's going to leave a lot of spots. This didn't clean up quite the way I want it to. You can see it did definitely make a difference. The bottom's still a little patinaed or tarnished. And so I think I will go ahead and hit this with some of my stronger cleaners when I'm done. But for daily use, if you want to keep just a couple cheap cans of tomato sauce, maybe in a jar under your sink or something for daily use, especially if you're trying to reduce chemical exposure in your house, a tomato product is an excellent option. Now, alternately, you can use 1 cup of distilled vinegar. Again, this is something we all have, and 1 tablespoon of water, and mix that together and rub your pot down with a soft cloth. So this is one of the first pans that I ever found at a local farmer's market. It's wonderful, made in France. It's got a great feel. I have the matching lid over on my lid rack, which I will not be getting to today, but those desperately need to be cleaned. Let's see how the vinegar and salt holds up to everything else. A little bit about the inside of your pan. This is sort of normal wear. We use the snot out of these. When they get pretty bad, I end up having them re-tinned. So as far as safety goes, you just don't want to be able to see the copper through the tin. Your tin is definitely going to patina. It's going to morph and be darker and browner and lighter. It's really, it can be sort of disconcerting when you see it. Don't worry about that. You just don't want to see the copper showing through. If you do, that is a sign that you need to have it re-tinned. Also, if it's pretty bad, so we've got some grime, and now some of my excuse is my kids use all my stuff. Oh my goodness, this kitchen takes a beating. All my equipment that I love so much takes a beating. Sometimes they turn it on too hot. You just don't need to just blast copper. It holds the heat. It does its job. Tell my kids that. So what you can do is if you want to take that mixture that I just said, 1 cup of water and 1 tablespoon of salt, and immerse your pot in boiling water, that's going to help some of this additional grime to come off the bottom. And then once the copper is cool, of course, wipe it down with a soft cloth and get rid of any of those drops, because that's where your stains, your water stains, and your tarnish are going to start showing up. Now, whether you're using a chemical product or something natural, you want to use a soft cloth. I'll tell you something. I get these little like vacuum cleaner filters at resale shops, you know, when they just have a pile of old vacuum cleaner bags and HEPA filters and things like that. These are nice and soft, and then I don't feel bad about throwing them away. What you don't want to do is you don't want to get out steel wool, you don't want to get out those little copper scrubbies, and you don't want to use a brush that has a bristle that's too stiff. So these are really handy. All in all, this one looks gorgeous. The bottom's still a little bad, so I think I would break out something stronger, or when I can get over to the stove, do that in the same mixture, only submersed in another pan. But this looks really fabulous. It cleaned up good. I'm going pretty quick, but it cleaned up good around the handles for the time I spent on that. So I need to get this dried off for now. And it looks like this one probably will need to be re-tinned within the next couple months. It's been a few years and it's looking a little worse for wear, and I'm assuming that copper is going to show through soon, but that looks beautiful. Pieces that are not as fragile, you can cut a lemon in half and add salt to the cut side and gently rub your copper with that. Now that's something I've done at the end of the day just to sort of get my sink cleaned up. But let's see how that holds up on one of my pieces. This guy's pretty bad. Now this is what happens when my kids turn the heat on too high. It sort of loses its color. So if this happens, don't panic. You can bring back the beautiful pink if it starts to look a little bleached out. Let's get some salt on this lemon and see what happens. You can also take a half a cup of lemon juice and mix that with a tablespoon of salt and enough flour to make it spreadable. So I'm going to let that sit there for a few minutes. Something else you can use is baking soda because it's got a natural abrasiveness to it, but it's not too much. Now, as far as more ideas on how to clean copper and more details, definitely visit the blog post that corresponds with today's video, because I think if you have questions as you're watching, I'm going to end up answering those questions in the video. I'm going to show you a couple more ways that I use to clean my copper, and then I've got to get back to work. So be sure to check out the video that aired the other day on Friday, because you definitely want to see the finished result of this product. Now, this is a chemical, it's nasty, but it does the job. And this is Barkeeper's Friend. This is something I always keep on hand. I use it to clean the brass on my range and other brass throughout the kitchen, and I use it to clean my copper. It comes in a spray and a paste. So let's do one of those so I can show you how it works. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to share with you something that I stumbled upon by accident. I know a lot of you are bakers, and I found out by accident. My sourdough starter once spilled in my sink, and it did a bang-up job cleaning my copper sink. So I know a lot of you have a starter that you're dividing and feeding every week. And so instead of discarding what you remove before you feed it, why didn't you use it to clean your copper? I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to put some sourdough starter on that and show you how well it works. This is another nice one because your kids can do it. There's no nasty chemicals involved and it works so well. And it's already creamy and pasty. Easy peasy. Again, all to the details. If you've got questions as we're going along, we'll be in the blog post. And the easiest way to find that is in the video description. And lately I've been cutting and pasting because I know that everybody can access that video description with ease, especially if you're watching on your phone. So if you look at that first comment, I try to repeat everything there for you. Most everything. We'll let that sit for a minute and we'll pick up with that barkeeper's friend. You can see how fast this one is. It's just about instant. So wear gloves. Don't do what I'm doing. Grab your gloves if you're going to use a product like this, but it does the trick. That works so good, doesn't it? Now, if you really need to bring out the big guns, this is Copper Brill. This is by MAKEOVER. MAKEOVER is the company that makes a beautiful line of copper that you see at Williams-Sonoma. This is probably about a year's supply that I have here, and it's a copper paste. It works very well, and that's what it looks like. Just rub it on, buff it out. Okay, so let's try it on this one. It's a beautiful piece. Looking a little sad. Thank you so much for joining me today. As I close out, I'm going to show you the finished product. Subscribe to this channel. Watch another video. Click this link right here. It'll take you right to the blog post that's going to give you all the details about today. I'll be back on Friday with my end of the month Q&A. So if you have questions that you've gathered throughout the month after watching the videos, be sure to leave those over on the community page and I will answer those as best I can on Friday. A bientôt.